Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 236. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes or any of your podcast platforms, we greatly appreciate that. Please subscribe to the podcast. I basically treat this more like a YouTube show than a podcast, so I don't actually, send out the link to the podcast as often as I should. So please subscribe to the podcast if you're not already. If you're watching us live on YouTube this Thursday morning, we appreciate that. I'll try to get more of your questions and comments today than I was able to on Tuesday. And also, the YouTube page still growing. Remember to hit the bell so you know when we go live. Subscribe to it. We're up over 150,000. Trying to get to 200,000. It helps us. Maybe Damonza gets another plaque at 200,000. I don't know. I think there's probably another plaque coming until 1 million. Damonza, look great. Love the sweatshirt. How are you?
Thank you, sir. I'm good. Pretty good. Can't complain. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So I have a funny thing that Damonza doesn't know. Last night, during halftime of the Knicks game, it's halftime. I've been on a bit of a Fortnite kick lately. I'm like, I think I have just enough time during halftime to get a quick Fortnite game in my office, and I'll know when the game's on because I'll put it on the upper TVs. And 1 minute after logging on, I get a little alert. Says, your friend, Damonza Bird, is logged on. I'm like, I wonder if he did the same thing. I'm like, I wonder if he was like, all right, halftime. Let me get a little Call of Duty. I mean, you're not a Fortnite guy. You're more of a Call of Duty guy. But I even thought of texting Fortnite, you.
Definitely leak into past halftime. But
right. Well, the thing is, Fortnite can be real fast. You can get killed quick. But whatever. Good to see you. We have a ton to do. We have a new 3-time MVP. Jalen Brunson, the legend just grows. We'll get into all of that. But first, here's what missed the cut. What missed the cut for today's show is Charles Barkley says New York City is overrated. However, he does love the, as he calls it, street meat. I'll tell you, before I moved to New York, when I did an internship for ESPN Radio in New York City one summer of college. And coming from the Midwest, the fact that I could just walk down the street and get a hot dog or a kebab or a knish was one of my absolute favorite things about the city. So I get why people who don't live here love the food carts and just the hot, fresh is maybe not the right word, but any food that you are eating seconds after it was prepared is delicious. That's like the entire key to Benihana and hibachi. I don't know that is as great as it tastes in any setting other than moments after it's on the grill, you're eating it. Travis Kelce's going to appear in a new horror series, and there's officially an Office spinoff in the works. I think I'd love The Office, but I've never seen a single episode of the English version or the American version. All right, Damonza, let's get to the MVP news, then we'll get to the playoff MVP, Jalen Brunson.
So, Joker's won his third MVP in 4 years. So you started off Jokic's bandwagon, then you jumped on, and then it seems like you've jumped off after his 2 bad games to Minnesota. And you said that you would have voted Luka this year. So does that mean in your eyes that Joker should be a 0-time MVP?
No. So if you look at how I say I would have voted each of the last 4 years, it would appear that I would have never voted for Joker. Because what I have said on TV is that CP3 was my MVP 3 years ago. Luka was my MVP 2 years ago. Embiid was my MVP last year. And Luka was my MVP this year. But had any of those previous MVPs gone the way I thought they should have, then my future MVP feelings would have changed. And I know to some people that seems against the rules. No, it's this season in a vacuum only. But that is simply not how it's ever been done. So if I were able to change history, so to speak, the last 4 MVPs would have been Chris Paul, Luka, Joker. So one of the reasons that I did not think, and Embiid would be the one, without a chair, unfortunately. But the reason that I did not think Joker should have been the MVP last year was because of the precedent about a guy winning 3 in a row, particularly who had, at that point in time, had done nothing. However, if coming off last year, where he was the dominant postseason force he was, and he had only had 1 MVP to his name up to that point, and Luka already had one, then this year I probably would have voted for Joker. But here is what I'm going to say about Joker and winning his 3rd MVP. Okay? The guy's with 2. Giannis, Steph, Duncan, Nash, Malone, Pettit. He's now ascended past them. He is in this group. Here are the guys with 3. Him, Magic, Larry, and Moses. The guys with 4, Wilt and LeBron. The guys with 5, Russell and Michael. And the only guy with 6 is Kareem. So, I'm okay with that. He right now is a very similar career of Moses, by the way. 3 MVPs. Moses went to 2 finals, won 1 championship. But we must also then reevaluate as we get new information. We are going to talk about Jalen Brunson in a moment. If your feelings on Jalen Brunson are the same today as they were a month ago, well, then why even have the games? If what he has done in this postseason does not allow you to reevaluate and upgrade how great of a player you think he is, then what are the point of the games? That works in both directions. And if all of a sudden, when Joker for the first time in a few years is playing a 50-plus win, well-built, healthy team in the playoffs, is struggling mightily, if that doesn't then allow you to reevaluate certain assumptions we had about where he's ending in the pantheon, then why have the games? Because going into this postseason, the question with Joker was fairly, and I was having it, is he going to run down Shaq? Is he going to end this postseason already ahead of Akeem? Could he catch Bird? Though in the all-time historical pantheon. That's what, and by the way, still is available to him if they turn this around and win the championship. But the flip side to that coin is, if they get rolled in round 2 by a 22-year-old, and by a guy who previous to this moment has always been considered a bad postseason performer, then we must ask the question, did we anoint him ahead of Giannis prematurely? Put the resumes side by side.
Next year, though?
Well, right. Well, then we recalibrate again. Right. Exactly right. But we had the conversation around Jokic was head and shoulders clear best player in the league. That is coming into some question, I think, because of what Ant and Shea are doing. It's at least in question. And the guy of his era, hands down. If you're Giannis, you're like, well, if they get rolled this round, can we have the discussion? He has 3 MVPs. Now I have 2. I have a Defensive Player of the Year award, though. He has 1 legendary postseason run. I have 1 legendary postseason run that arguably was not only as good, but maybe better. Why are we sure he is the alpha of this mini era? Those questions come into play, just like for Giannis when he won his title with a 50-piece in Game 6, and at that point had 2 MVPs, a Defensive Player of the Year, and looked totally unstoppable. The conversations we were having were, could this guy end up being one of the 5 greatest players of all time? But since then, he hasn't been out of round 2, and he has back-to-back round 1 exits. So you recalibrate. That is why, and this is the Jokic folks that have gotten mad at me in the past, when they're like, killed me for saying I needed to see him do it on a postseason run and acted like that was an unfair standard. It's the standard. It's always been the standard. And now, again, if we are just being historically fair, we then also, let's just assume, not even assume, let's just say for the sake of argument, that Minnesota sweeps them, okay? We now have some really uncomfortable lists. You would have fewest wins in a playoffs in a season you won MVP. Here would be the full list of guys who have 4 or less. Michael Jordan once, Magic Johnson once, Tim Duncan once, Dirk once, Russell Westbrook once, Nikola Jokic 3 times. He already is tied with Westbrook for fewest playoff wins in the season you won an MVP with 1. Okay, I have another question. The list of last 40 years. Guy who got swept out of the playoffs in the season he won league MVP. That list right now is 2 names long. Magic Johnson, and there's a semi-asterisk on that by his name there because he got swept in the finals when he got hurt 5 minutes into Game 3 and did not play the rest of that game or the next game. It still counts as him getting swept. They were going for a 3rd straight title, and the Pistons swept him in the finals, but he got hurt. The only other name on that list already is Joker. He's a couple games away from that happening again. Does that mean he's not neck and neck with Moses Malone for, let me do the greatest centers of all time? What's that? So for the, am I leaving anyone out? Yeah. Neck and neck with Moses Malone for the 6th greatest center ever. No, he's already established that. But does that set him back on cracking that top 5 greatest centers ever? Kareem, Russell, Wilt, Hakeem, Shaq? Yeah, of course it does. These games matter in every direction. They turn Anthony Edwards into maybe the face of the league. They make Jalen Brunson a folk hero and a legend, right? They make you recalibrate what the hell you're going to do if you're the Phoenix Suns. That's what this postseason is. And for Joker, and I am not a big thing that has gone around this week on the internet is, wow, the Nuggets with Joker have never beaten a 50-win team in the playoffs. I have not proliferated that because I actually am not that interested in that. Because I watched them last year, and I think they were going to, he shouldn't be penalized for the fact that Miami clipped Boston in the conference finals, and he didn't get an opportunity to beat Boston because they would have rolled Boston. That Nuggets team last year was a well-oiled, healthy juggernaut. And I give them full credit for that. So I am not at all being like, oh, last year's championship, what is it? That's not how I feel. I am saying it is not unfair to hold the guy who just became the 9th player in league history to be named the MVP of the league 3 or more times to a high standard. And that's what I'm going to hold him to. The standard is the standard. It was not set by me. It was set by history. And I just spent a week hearing about how LeBron James missed box outs or why Darvin Ham doesn't have a job. Because the standard's the standard for LeBron, even in year 21, age 39, be better, find a way. Okay. Peak of your powers, 3rd MVP in 4 years. These kids in Minnesota are making you look slow. Are making you look like you don't have answers. And so, does that change how I feel about him historically? No. Does it pump the brakes on where he was being elevated to historically? Of course. It has to. And so, that's where I'm at on this. I don't think, Damonza, I know you think I'm a bit of a hater on this. That's okay. You just heard me go for 15 minutes. Yeah. Your thoughts on anything or everything I just said.
I wonder how Daniel feels about this, but
Daniel, can I tell you real quick before you go? Here's how I think Daniel feels. I don't think Daniel actually right now, maybe I'm wrong, has the luxury of caring about the Jokic historic debate. He's right now in the midst of a war for what he thought was going to be a dynastic run. Through hell or high water, Daniel just needs the Nuggets to find a way to win tomorrow night.
Back into this.
And they win tomorrow night, and he is all the way back. But right now, he has massive unease about where we're at. Because here, and sorry, I asked your thoughts, and now I'm going to talk again, but then I'll get your thoughts. Because here's the other uncomfortable thing about not if they lose this series, but if Denver gets swept. If Denver gets swept, do they make a knee-jerk change? Do they try to retool something? Or do they just say next year will be different? I don't know what the right answer would be. But there's a world that exists. This is what is so, again, interesting about the playoffs. The Lakers, I think for a few days were like, well, I know we lost in 5, but those games were close. 2 came down to buzzer beaters, and the Nuggets are going to win the whole thing. So, we might end up maybe we were the 3rd best team in the league, right? But then now the Nuggets are getting annihilated.
Yeah.
There's a world that exists where the Timberwolves sweep the Nuggets. The Timberwolves then lose to the winner of OKC Dallas, and that team then loses to Boston. And if you're Denver, you're like, wait a minute. The team that beat us got beat by a team that then got beat. How close were we? Right? It's now, if the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets in 6 and then go on to win the championship, you feel differently. Right. That's where all of this stuff matters. But go ahead.
That's how I feel about it. I think that the Timberwolves are going to take it pretty far, and I hate saying that because they're going to end up dealing with the Celtics. But I think when you look back at it, it'll just be a story of this dominant Timberwolves team and not the Denver choke job. I think that the Timberwolves are just legit, and I think that if they keep that team together, even next year, I think you'll still see that it's a very real team. I mean, they've been doing everything basically without Rudy Gobert. I get it's only been 2 games, but yeah, dude, I think the team's just scary. It's a different beast.
So here's another thing I love about the NBA playoffs. No, I'm not saying anything you're saying is wrong, but the NBA playoffs, the way it works is when your team or when a team wins a single game, let alone what Minnesota's done where they haven't lost yet, you feel after the game like, I don't think they're ever going to lose again.
Right.
Not just this year, but next year either. Why? How could anyone beat them? And then, whenever your team loses a game, you're like, I mean, this team is just broken. I don't know what and so But
just the fashion in which they've done this. I mean, it's 2 games, and the second game was worse than the first one. They're in Denver. They haven't lost yet
without Gobert. No, correct.
Yeah, it's just like
all that's very fair. All right, do you want to? Well, just real quick, do you think anything I said about the Jokic? Is there anything else you want to talk about it that was unfair before we move on to Jalen Brunson?
I do think you're slightly unfair to Jokic. I mean, especially given the fact that the guys that you said should have gotten MVP over him the years that they did, Jokic went further than them, if I'm not mistaken. And
you are mistaken.
I'm mistaken.
No, you are mistaken.
Okay, so which one of those?
The first year he won MVP, I was the only person in America who said it should have been Chris Paul. They then played Chris Paul in round 2, and Chris Paul swept them in the playoffs. Okay? That was the first year. The second year that he won MVP, and I said Luka should have won it, Luka went to the conference finals, and Joker lost in 5 in round 1. Now, in fairness, the team that beat Joker was Golden State, the same team that beat Luka. Last year, so that is not accurate about those years. It was, now you vote before the playoffs, I understand all of that, but go ahead.
Yeah, all right, I guess that's fair. I think we'll see how it pans out with the Timberwolves and late in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that right now they look unbelievable, and right now you also ask yourself, how different would last season's postseason have been had Minnesota not been without Jaden McDaniels because he punched a wall and broke his hand right before the playoffs, and without Naz Reid because he was hurt? Yep. Like Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid right now are critical pieces.
Huge players, right.
Huge pieces for them. Now, also, Anthony Edwards is better than he was. There's a lot of other factors. But, yeah. Okay, all right, let's move on to Jalen Brunson.
So the Knicks came back from down 10 despite Brunson and OG Anunoby getting hurt. Jalen Brunson was able to come back later, but he still doesn't look 100% with that foot injury. Mm-hmm. It seems like the workload would be getting to them at this point. Have you ever seen a team with this much heart? Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's almost impossible not to root for the Knicks, in my opinion, if you're neutral. Just the way they play, the Villanova piece is amazing. Brunson, at his size, doing what he's doing, which is why, now allow me to complain for a moment. I've never been more infuriated watching a broadcast than I was watching last night. Okay? I get that Reggie Miller came back to New York, and we have to still just make a big deal about, I'm sorry, but one of the most historically overrated players of any era. Like, Reggie was a very good player who had some great moments. He also, Latrell Sprewell was there. He and Spree played the same position in the same era. Spree actually made a first or second team All-NBA. Reggie, his whole career, never did. And we're treating Reggie Miller like this golden god. Fine, so be it. You look up the numbers, it's like he was really good, and it was a clutch shooter and had some nice moments. He was also 18-3-3 for his career. So we can pump the brakes on a little of the hagiography on him, but set that aside. And I never pronounced that word properly. But whatever your plan on making this broadcast about Reggie and Spike and the Knicks in the Garden has to go out the window when Jalen Brunson goes out with a mysterious injury for a quarter and a half and no one knows anything. There was no updates. They made no effort, it seemed, to find the video of when the injury happened. They just kept showing us the video of when they thought the injury happened, but it didn't. He got hit in the groin on a play and then played another 4 or 5 plays, then asked out and then was gone. And we got nothing on it. Then later in the game, OG Anunoby is on a fast break, comes up lame, throws the ball up, falls out of bounds. They don't acknowledge that has happened for 2 possessions. The Knicks are playing 5-on-4. They haven't said anything. And then they immediately diagnose OG. Oh, it's just cramps. He'll be fine. Nah, bro. He hurt his hamstring. OG might be done for the playoffs. I have no idea, but hamstrings are tricky. I have no inside information there, but it wasn't cramps. Like, what are we doing? Jalen Brunson then, after a foot injury that to this moment, we got no, like, oh, here's where it could have happened. All you have is time. Scour every piece of footage you have of Jalen. From the beginning of the game to the 3-minute mark of the first quarter when he went out, and see when he reacted to something with his foot. Like, what are we doing? So that was maddening from a viewer perspective. Now, to Jalen. He would have had another 40. What did he end with? How many points did he end with? 32? It might have been 28, might be 32. I'll pull it up right now. Okay, neither. 29. 29, but in 32 minutes. So he usually plays 45. He had 29 on 18 shots. Made every key 3. Those 3 Villanova guys, man. Hart is just an unbelievable winning player. Just a total winner. I'm going to make Damonza laugh here. Because obviously the skill, the size, all this stuff is not on the par. But you know who Josh Hart reminds me of? Angus. Yeah. Yes, exactly right. Like, I don't know how you do it, but Angus was a guy, wonderful young man that Damonza played high school basketball with. But Angus was not that tall, was not that, like, skilled, but just outworked everybody.
Yeah.
On every possession, and was just a winner. Strong and tough, never complained, and a winner.
Yes, and he hasn't seen the bench since his Villanova days. Do you think that he's killing the whole load management debate?
Well, so here's the thing. I know that folks are like, wow, Tibbs really putting load management to shame. Yes and no. Because he also now has had 5 guys get hurt. So Randall is out and has been out. Bogdanovich got injured during the playoffs. Mitchell Robinson has a stress fracture. He's out. OG has a hamstring. We'll see on him. And Jalen Brunson's got a mysterious foot thing. So I don't know actually that he's killing the load management thing because his players are unfortunately dropping. But the Pacers complaining after the game, they sent to the league. Go ahead.
No, I just think if you're the Pacers and you're at this point in the postseason, they're not here often. I just think that you'd want to be able to say at the end of everything that you did everything in your power to advance, and like complaining to the refs when you're at this stage, when you're not here often, I just think is a waste of your time.
And also sending 79 plays that you think they got wrong in the first 2 games. Shut up. That's too many. And it's just 79. I mean, what are we doing? Also, what are we talking about? Also, Carlisle doing the small market blues. When OKC's undefeated, Minneapolis isn't exactly, Los Angeles. They're undefeated. Denver is medium-sized market. They won the championship. Like, miss me with that. I think it's impossible to analyze this series moving forward until we know more about OG and Jalen's injuries. But I do not think it is impossible to say this. Jalen Brunson has been the best player in this postseason. With respect to Anthony Edwards, he has been the best player in this postseason with the heaviest load. And he is, to me, now a minted superstar. I'll give you, we can go back and forth on names, but I would rather have Jalen Brunson than Devin Booker. I would rather have Jalen Brunson than Donovan Mitchell. I would rather have Jalen Brunson right now than Jimmy Butler. I would rather have Jalen Brunson than Damian Lillard. I would. That is what this regular season and then postseason has done, in my opinion, for his standing. All right, Damonza, let's move on.
All right, so Damonza Bird lookalike Byron Scott went on undisputed and took a shot at LeBron yesterday. So we're going to take a look at what he said for those watching on YouTube.
He said, yeah, I got it. Make LeBron the coach. It's obvious to me, at least, that he's making a lot of decisions that are going on in this organization from a coaching standpoint to a player standpoint. So if you're going to allow him to make those decisions, sit on the bench and make those decisions as well. Be the head coach. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in his saltiness, do you think he actually provided the Lakers with their answer?
Okay. So here's the only thing I'm going to ask. If LeBron's always been the coach and the GM for the Lakers, then I guess he does have 6 rings just like Michael. Because he gets 1 for playing and winning the championship, 1 for building the team, and 1 for being the head coach. This idea, if LeBron's making all the decisions, then Kyrie Irving would be a Laker and Ty Lue would be the head coach. So again, I know folks love to do this math of the things that work out for the Lakers did, and the things that don't, like the Westbrook trade, LeBron did. And when that LeBron somehow has firing power of coaches, but not hiring power. All of this self-serving nonsense is fine. Do I think LeBron? Do I think he's going to be player coach? No. Do I think that would have worked over the course of a season? No. Do I think unequivocally that if LeBron were a player coach for that Nuggets series, that the Lakers would have fared better? I do. Do I think LeBron would be a better player coach than Darvin Ham was actual coach? Yes. Go ahead.
Could you walk me back on what you said? If LeBron were the player coach in the Denver series, it would have went better, is what you said.
Yeah, I mean, if LeBron were the player coach in the Denver series, I think that when the multiple times in the third quarters when Denver is going on their game-changing runs, LeBron would have called a timeout. I do think that. I don't think against Denver, LeBron would have trotted out the 3-guard lineup that Darvin was obsessed with all year that never worked. I do think that now, do I think it would have been difference between them winning and losing the series? Probably not. But do I think they would have been better coached in that series with LeBron as the player coach? Yes. Do I think he could do it? Anyone could do it over the course of a year? No. I just think the league's too different. Bill Russell did it, I understand. Different league, different film study, different responsibilities, all of that. All right, let's go on to the Mavs Thunder.
Yeah, your large Slovenian son looks like he needs to stay off the cigs and hookah. 2 questions for you. Is Luka bound to have a bounce-back game? I kind of feel like I know what your answer is to that one. Mm-hmm. And are the Mavs screwed if he doesn't?
Yes and yes. I do think he'll bounce back, and I also think their only path is he's got to be vintage playoff Luka. Go ahead, Damonza.
Yeah, I don't think that for the Mavericks to be successful, I think, what is it, Kyrie and Luka had to combine like 39. I don't think that can happen.
No, it has to be closer to 70.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah, for real. Like, this is Kyrie's is going to give you 25 to 30, and Luka's got to give you 30 plus with double-digit assists and good rebounding. Right. It's the only way. They don't have a good enough. And Luka, by the way, game 1 was maybe the worst playoff game of his career. It was the second fewest points. It was one of his third worst shooting percentage, fewest threes he's ever made. It was terrible. Like, it wasn't just like bad by Luka's standards. He was actually bad. And so, yeah, the through line for this Mavs team is Luka's got to be LeBron with the Cavs. Kyrie's there. Kyrie's got to be Kyrie. And Luka's got to be controlling everything and then hitting open three-point shooters, and they got to hit the shots. Now, I believe in Luka, and I'm not going to do what people want to do for Jamal Murray, which is Jamal Murray, when he's brilliant in Game 5 against the Lakers, he's brilliant. And when he's bad in Game 1 and 2 against the Thunder or against the T-Wolves, he's hurt. I've been down that road in 2016 with Steph Curry, and it was one of the most annoying storylines I'd ever seen. In 2016, Steph did get dinged and missed time. And then he came back, and in his first game back in the playoffs, he had 40 points, including a record that stands to this day, 17 points in overtime, and literally screamed, "I'm back." And then the very next game was awesome. And then the beginning of the series against OKC, he really struggled. And everyone's like, "Oh, Steph's hurt. Guys, we all know he's hurt." And then in Game 7 against OKC, he was brilliant. They're like, "Oh, Steph's back. He's great." And then in the beginning of the finals against the Cavs, the Game 4, the big game to go up 3-1 against the Cavs, he was great. People were like, "Man, Steph Curry's back." And then the final 3 games against the Cavs, he's struggling. And everyone's like, "Oh, he's hurt." You can't do that. We can't do that. When he's great, and when he's not, he's hurt. Is Luka 100%? Probably not. But Luka was kicked ass in Game 6 against the Clippers. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, but now he's not playing well. It's because he's hurt." And people are trying to do the same thing with Jamal Murray. I don't like it. Luka's got to be better. If he's not awesome, they can't win. If he is awesome, they can. I think he'll be awesome. Quick break, right back. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's right with Nick Wright? Real quick, I'm just seeing on my timeline, Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors, the LSU quarterback and wide receiver, who are now Washington's quarterback and the Giants wide receiver, were on Keyshawn's pod, and All Facts, No Breaks is what it's called. And we just put out the clip of them saying they have a $10,000 bet between them on who wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think that's allowed. I think that's considered gambling on the NFL. I think it's totally fine and not a problem, but I also I wouldn't say that publicly, and I don't think that's allowed, guys. I'm not sure. I mean, it's been up for 18 hours. So, I don't.
A little bet for the camera.
Yeah, that's I think what you gotta say. I just don't think that's allowed. I don't know. I'm not trying to get anyone in, and I can't imagine they would actually get in trouble. But I don't think anything involving professional football, they want you betting on if you're playing professional football. Yeah. I just think that. All right, Damonza, let's move on. Let's keep the show going.
Yeah. So historically, for a team to win a finals, they have to take their playoff slumps. But Minnesota and OKC are both undefeated and look like the real deal, despite being inexperienced and young. Do you think this is the year that historical mold is broken?
So, it would be more broken from a team standpoint if OKC does it. OKC is the youngest team to ever win a single game in round 2. They're the second youngest team to ever win a single series. That team winning a title seems impossible. But we talked about this on the TV show yesterday. The only argument against them is the experience argument. Top 5 offense, top 5 defense. They don't turn the ball over. They have the best three-point shooting in basketball. The only thing they do poorly is rebound. I don't think they're going to win the title. Like, the way this should work, Damonza, is Boston should win the title. Yeah. If Denver gets popped, this is all on a silver platter for Boston. You're either playing a Mavs team that is
just that not gonna you hear would the have end of how easy it was for the Celtics, though.
Oh, nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that. You win the title, you win the title. The only time people I think care about that is if in the finals the other team's best players suffer debilitating injury. Yeah, like I do look at that Raptors championship as good for them for getting there and surviving. But when Klay Thompson blows out his knee and Kevin Durant plays 11 minutes in the series and pops his Achilles, do I think they were the best team? No. You know what I mean? I don't. But nobody cares about path. And the Celtics earned the path by being the 1 seed.
Yeah.
That's the way it should work this year. Because if you play the Mavs, you have 6 of the 8 best players in the series. If you play the Timberwolves, you have the ability to kind of play 5 out in a way that could really give them trouble and maybe play Rudy off the floor. And if you play the Thunder, you have all the experience.
Yeah.
I wouldn't look at it as that his.
If the Celtics don't win it, it just opens up a whole new can for the NBA. I just feel like everything will just be recalibrated.
100% right. And the only world where the Celtics could have not won the title given the playoff bracket and felt good about their season was if Denver beat them. If you're playing the defending champs, if Jokic is there, if he just elevates to another level, it's like, all right, you know what I mean? We're playing an all-time great player and at the peak of his powers. But if 22-year-old Anthony Edwards dusts you,
it's like
you gotta.
And that was the argument with the Celtics the entire time. When they got to the finals, it's like, oh, they're not experienced, they've never been here.
Yep.
And yeah.
And now they have exactly. And it's a weird spot because the Celtics are your team.
Yeah.
They play a playoff game tonight. My guess is you're not even that excited for it.
I'm way more dialed into other series than I am the Celtics. I mean, this whole, if I'm being honest, this whole playoff run, I've been watching more of other teams than I've watched the Celtics.
Yeah, because because it's like, all right, they're obviously going to beat Miami without Jimmy. They're obviously going to beat Cleveland. And then, you know what I mean? Next round, they could be playing a Knicks team that has nobody left or a Pacers like the.
I mean, because if this is a dogfight,
exactly.
Rather it not be, but yeah.
And so so it's a weird spot. All right, let's move on to a game. It's a new game we're playing called Moving the Needle Dawg Edition Dawgometer. Okay, let's try it. This is a real test.
So yeah, everybody likes to say their favorite players have that dog in them. But if we're being honest, some players are more toy poodle than pit bull. So in honor of the Westminster Dog Show coming to Fox early next week, let's take a look at how much dog these playoff stars have inside of them. First off, we got my guy Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has led the Celtics to the conference finals in 4 of the last 6 years. But Tatum has had bad shooting nights and has only scored 24 points once in these playoffs. On a scale of pup to hound, how much dog does Jason Tatum have inside of him?
Oh, look, Damonza, the hound is Dexter. That's our dog on the far right. So here's the thing. I'm going to put him...
It's like a squirrel on the left.
Put him right in the middle. Because we have seen... Listen, Tatum's Game 6 against Giannis is all time. His Game 7 against Philly last year. Was it Philly? I think it was, yeah. Is all time. But here's the other thing. And this is where Celtics fans get so mad at Colin Cowherd because he basically calls Tatum a B+, A-, and that he'll never be an A+. He'll never be like that guy. But I think he's right. And the evidence I would bring you is this. Even the best player in the world, Joker, can be bad, downright bad in a playoff game like he was Game 2. Everybody has bad games. But the best guys, when they're in their prime, never have a string of them in a row in the postseason. And Tatum, you could argue, he's played 6 playoff games this year. He's played up to his standard in 1 of them. The last 4, he's 6 of 16, 5 of 14, 4 of 9, 7 of 19, and he's averaging less than 20 points. That's a 4-game stretch.
Did you say he's the guy with the best supporting cast ever, though? Like, it's more so about the guy. But,
yes, but he's got the best supporting cast of everybody. But so here's the thing. That doesn't explain the inefficiency. That would explain low point totals. But when he's taking shots, he's trying to make them. And so the worry I would have if I were you, Damonza, is this. No matter who comes out of the West, they're going to have the best player in the series. Ant, Shea, Luka, Joker. There's only like 5-6 guys in the league that are hands down better than Tatum. But they're all left in the Western Conference. And so... You can win without having the best guy. You said all those players
are better, right? You said all those players are... Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. One of those 4 guys is going to be in the finals. Ant, Shea, Luka, Joker. They're all better than Tatum. They just are. So I
think that's a little recency bias right there, but fair enough.
Recency bias based for who?
On you saying that all those guys are...
player?
All of them are okay, except for Joker. But Ant and Shea and who was the other one you mentioned?
Luka.
Luka. Okay, fair.
Luka's been better than Tatum his whole career. I know you don't, but that's fine. I mean, Ant just finished second in MVP voting. I'm sorry, Shea just finished second in MVP voting, and Ant has been lighting the world on fire. You're right that this year people thought Tatum was better than Ant, not than Shea, but than Ant. But I don't think that. I don't. I think Ant's a killer in a way Tatum's not. Sorry, I just do. All right, next.
All right, secondly, we'll go with Jamal Murray, whose pockets are 100,000 lighter after throwing that hot pack on the court. You called him a baby, but let's not forget he's also arguably the greatest playoff riser ever. On a scale of pup to hound, how much dog does Jamal Murray have in him?
Well, we about to find out. Right now, I'll put him in the yellow, so closer to hound than pup, for people that are listening. But let's go see how he looks in Game 3. The guy won't. I have been really, disenchanted. I don't know if that's the right word, but disappointed with his antics and his comments and lack of accountability for that nonsense in game 2, and he hasn't been very good, flatly. The Lakers series bizarre because he was only great in one game. He didn't play a good series, but he hit 2 game winners.
Right.
And so, right, I mean, the 2 game winners, like, just wipe everything away. But then in these 2 games, he's been whiny, he's been complaining, and so, yeah, we'll see. Let's see. I reserve the right to change that opinion. All right, next.
Is this the
most,
go ahead, sorry. Like, how often, is this not the most that players and coaches have whined about reffing in the postseason? Is it at a high, or is it just about the standard?
I would say it's not the most, but it's more than usual. Doc Rivers is an all-time, ref complainer guy. There are certain coaches that try to work the refs in the media. I do think that it is higher, more than usual, but not the most I've ever seen.
You think it has anything to do with the new rule changes that they've implemented?
Well, that aren't official rule changes? Yes. I do think that. Like, that they changed the rules mid-season without actually changing the rules and started letting people play more physical. I also think what is frustrating, guys, is if you watch Dallas OKC, it was officiated like how games were officiated the first week of the regular season. And if you had just watched Minnesota Denver, it was officiated like it was happening in a prison. And so it's like, do we know like what rules we're going to be playing by? Now, the reason I actually thought both games were fine was because they were officiated consistently within the game. You know what I mean? Like Dallas OKC had a very tight whistle from the very beginning to the very end, and Minnesota Denver had no whistle from the very beginning to the very end. All right, that is also the other concern for OKC is what if they don't get the whistle? So Shea this year, this is an unbelievable stat. Shea this year shot the exact same number of free throws as LeBron and Paul George combined. Those 2 guys played 145 games between the 2 of them. Shea played 75, I think. He shot the exact... So
that's the guy that's hands down better than Tatum, by the way, shooting 15, 20 free throws.
I think he is better than Tatum, but I'm just saying a lot of that is relying on his ability to get to the line, and if he's not getting the whistle, I wonder how that's going to impact him. All right, next.
Most people may associate Donovan Mitchell with more with an arachnid than a dog. But that hasn't stopped him from becoming a top 10 points per game scorer ever in the playoffs. On a scale of Scooby-Doo to Air Bud, how much dog does Donovan Mitchell have inside of him?
Why so Air Bud's the best?
Yeah, I'm confused on Scooby-Doo being not dog because
I agree. That's a terrible ranking system, guys.
He's cowardly.
He's not cowardly. Shut up, Daniel. What do you know about Scooby-Doo? You're too young. They called Scooby-Doo cowardly. How many crimes have you solved? I'm gonna say on offense he's ultimate dog, and on defense, even in the playoffs, he's a total pup. And it's why I can't totally get on board with Donovan Mitchell, the superstar. But on offense, he's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable, and has been his whole career. All right, let's go to Anthony Edwards.
Former Georgia Bulldog Anthony Edwards is taking the league by storm. He's talking that talk, and he's also backing it up. On a scale of cat to Georgia Bulldog, how much dog does Anthony Edwards have inside of him?
Is this even a question?
Yeah.
Full-blown Bulldog. Yeah. This guy is so much fun.
Malinese or something.
And what'd you say?
A Malinese.
Oh, is that like a big, strong dog? You know more about dogs than me.
It's like a German Shepherd, but like their faces are more blacked out. I think cops use them.
A Belgian Shepherd. Belgian Malinois. Malinois? I don't know.
Those are dogs.
Oh yeah. Well, let's not do that to him. Let's not call him a cop dog. Tough, like a angry Doberman, junkyard dog. I love it. God, I love watching him. All right, let's go.
Last year you said Dexter has no place at the dog show.
Oh wait, no, you're skipping the Thunder. Hold on.
Oh crap! No disrespect.
Yeah.
After every win, the Thunder do their encore interview together and end it by barking. Such dorks. On a scale of cat to Michael J. Fox and Teen Wolves, how much dog does the Thunder have inside of them?
Okay, first of all, this is a little unfair to Cat now, Karl Anthony Towns, because he is showing some real fight here. But yeah, the Thunder's group I'm going to sound like a bit of a hater, and I don't mean to. I kind of want someone to beat him. Yeah, and I hope it's Luka. It's just a little too high schooly. And I know they're young, and I know they're having
fun, a lot of fun, man.
They are having a lot of fun
with it.
And that's why I said I'm being bit of a hater here.
I mean, I saw
I'm going to put him in the light green.
Or like a quote from one of the guys, but it's like they are the only group of guys that are aware of what they're doing. Dude, you're making millions of dollars to play basketball. You're saying
Jalen Williams' quote.
Yeah.
So Jalen Williams' quote is a great one, where he's like, he was asked about something, and he was like, man, I get paid millions of dollars to play basketball. And also, you got to keep in mind Jalen Williams' career. Damonza, Jalen Williams, 3-star kid, his only offers were Nevada, Hofstra, and Santa Clara. He went to Santa Clara and, was not on a lot of people's radar until the very end of his collegiate career. And now he's the second best player on the number 1 seed, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And so he is, I think, really over the moon at what's happened. And that is great scouting by them, by the way, Sam Presti and company. All right, last one, Damonza.
All right, so last year you said Dexter has no place at the dog show. So let's take a look.
Here's why my client was not invited to Westminster. He's one of the dumbest animals ever to live.
He's not great.
I mean, I understand no dogs are brilliant, but our dog is cartoonishly stupid. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Damonza.
So, do you think he's improved his draft stock since last year?
No. I mean, he's sweeter now than he used to be. He's a little less, insane. But he's still pretty nuts. And he is just real. I don't know if I've told this story on the air or not. But I'll tell it real quick, and then we'll move on. When I say he's dumb, every morning, I get up and I take him out. And I give him fresh water and fresh food. And he hangs out until I go to work. And then every day, when I get home from work, that water and food are sitting there untouched. No matter if I get home at 4:45 or 7:30 at night. And then the moment I walk in the door, I take him out. And then he ravenously eats and drinks everything he had. And then I give him more water and he drinks it up because he is starving and so thirsty. And I think it is because if I'm not there, he hasn't yet figured out that I always come back. And I think he's like, this might have to last me the rest of my life. So I can't, no matter how hungry or thirsty I am, I can't eat it or drink it.
That would require him to be a little smart.
And, so that does involve a level of thinking, but also after 3 years, you haven't realized, buddy, I'm always coming back. I mean, this poor guy is just sitting there, so thirsty and hungry, and won't touch the food. And that's just, I love him. I love him, but
I miss that
would not
dog,
be
man.
good at Westminster. I know. It's been a while. You haven't seen him since Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's been a while. All right, quick break, right back. We answer some listener questions next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's right with Nick Wright? Damonza, let's get to some of these listener questions.
Bradley Hammond asked, are this year's playoffs showing that the regular season matters more than the narrative would say? Denver versus OKC's path to the finals is a prime example. Knicks culture proving wise. Yeah, because if the Nuggets won that Spurs game, they wouldn't have even been in the position that they're in. Right.
Correct. And also, if the Nuggets the Nuggets played OKC late in the year and SGA hit a game winner with a second left, yeah, like there are a lot of ways for the Nuggets to be the 1 seed and not be dealing with this. And by the way, shout out to Bradley Hammond, who was on our stream before we went live, so we wanted to let his question be up first. I do think there is some redemption here, Damonza, for the regular season. And the Lakers screwing around the first 50 games. And
50 games.
Well, yeah, I mean, they didn't start their best lineup until game 50. It just seems dumb. But you guys, people can ask Darvin Ham about it. And end up having to fight for their lives just to, get out of the 10 spot all year. There's a lot of the regular season and the Knicks fighting for that 2 seed, getting it, dealing with Philly. Yes, I agree with that entirely. All right, next.
Caleb W asked, which player currently remaining will have the biggest legacy boost if they were to win the championship? Like Brunson, huh?
Oh.
Because just considering what he would have gotten there.
No, I mean it is Brunson, I guess. I don't think they can win the title, but yeah, I mean it would be Brunson. I think second place would be Luka. If Luka wins the title, then he's 25. You start looking at him as, does he have a claim that he's the best player in the league? It's the only, you know what I mean?
He's 22. Are you saying because
I guess so. I feel like Ant and Shea are younger than Luka. I feel like right now Luka is almost old enough to a point to where he starts to catch some shrapnel for not having been to a finals. You know what I mean? So it is Luka winning the title deads all that, and he has a claim best player in the league. Ant already is he's found money. But yeah, I mean, we've never seen a guy Ant's age be the best player on a champion. The best 22-year-old season we ever saw was LeBron in 07 getting that team to the finals. Kobe was awesome at 22 and won a title, but he obviously
Luka
wasn't the best guy.
Is pretty
Shaq
close
was.
to Shea in age. He's barely a year older.
Oh yeah, because Luka came in so young. That's a good point as well. I
think for Luka, it's just more important to his legacy.
Younger.
But Ant, I think, would have the bigger legacy boost.
You know what? I think you're right. You know what? You're right about that.
I think about
what it would do. The other guy's sneaky. What it is Tatum.
Yeah.
If Tatum gets a Finals MVP, now if they win the title and Derek White gets the Finals MVP, it doesn't hurt Tatum. Obviously, he's still champion, but it's a different story. All right, let's go to the next one.
Kyle Knudsen asks, Nick, what do you think the biggest immediate impacts of the new TV deal will be? Impact on the players, networks, organizations, etc.
I think the biggest impact is going to be people getting really mad on TV when the first guy signs a contract that's more than $82 million a year. It's going to be so obnoxious. Get more than $1 million a game. There's going to be no real impact other than the superstar salaries are going to be bananas, but they earned it, guys. People are like, why do they make so much more than football players? Because there's less of them, guys. This is a 12-man team versus a 15-man team. It's not complicated. It's just they play a bunch of games and there's not a lot of players. All right, next.
Chain B.
Ask these two together.
Chain P said, let's play Fortnite. Where are we dropping? And Craig Barnett. Mm-hmm. Question for Nick, what skin do you use on Fortnite? Whichever one Deanna put on before.
Correct. So I think right now, I'm kind of like a young hipster black girl on Fortnite because it's what Deanna built out for me. And as far as where I drop, I almost always drop. So Damonza, I've totally changed in how I play, for the record. Ever since, and this is why I play a lot now these days, because for a long time, you couldn't do ranked solo. You had to be on duos or whatever. But now ranked solo's a thing. And I'm trying to pat myself on the back, but I'm platinum 2. There's only like 6 ranked.
Oh, so you like doing the rank thing? You just like that system.
Yeah, because you play better people. Like, yeah, it's way harder because you play people within your ranking.
Yeah, what? Right. It's skill-based matching. I'm like, why do you want to play better people? You're bad.
Because I've gotten awesome at the game, Damonza. Because I'm actually great at it now. Damonza laughs because when he lived with me, the way I played Fortnite is I would drop at the very edge of the map and then hide. I would just like get in a car and get in the passenger seat,
like in a bush,
and just try to get to where there were like 2 or 3 people left, and hope one killed the other one and the storm killed that one. But now I'm in the streets, man. I'm in there. So I'll tell you where I tend to drop. There is on, I guess, the bottom of the map. There's a little island with a house on it. And that island has a bunch of bots in it. And one of them has a key card into a safe that has like really good weapons. So I try to drop there to kill that guy immediately so I can be weaponed up. Or at the very top of the map, there's an island, but a lot of people drop there because the Star Wars guys are there. And if you can kill those guys, you get these sick weapons. So I go one of those 2 places usually to get the weapon situation, and then I crush fools. This is the first. I'm almost 40 years old. I've never played any video game other than sports games until this. I never played Halo. I never played any of the. I guess I played GoldenEye against friends in college, but I never was like the first-person shooter game ever. But I've gotten into Fortnite.
Oh, I'm glad you love it, Pops, and I'm happy you found that. He's landed in the game with 100 live players, and he's like, let me go to the bot and kill it real quick. But
well, yeah, to get the weapons so I can then fight with everyone else. It's smart. It's just good strategy.
Your Slovenian son is ranked 500th in Overwatch, 500th in the world.
Okay.
By the way.
Okay, so I saw that. I need like a better fact check on that. But if he's top 500 in the world,
that would be crazy,
Overwatch,
right?
That's
well, also in the playoffs,
it's also a little bit of a red flag. I love him, but that's a bit of a. I think Overwatch is too popular to be top 500 in the world at it as a side gig. All right, go to Anthony Adams.
Anthony Adams said, "I know you're a great person to invite to a wedding, but does the same apply to a couple's first baby shower?"
All right, so
you guys can invite me to these things in substitution, if you know.
Okay, all right, so this is a great take. All right, so 2 things. One is, we've been too busy with the NBA playoffs for me to update everyone on this. The whole invite me to a wedding because I won't show up and I'll send a gift thing. In the last 2 weeks, Damonza, 9 invitations have shown up. It's now becoming like a potential problem because I don't want to go to the registry, and some people's stuff on the registry sucks. It's like, we need this spatula. And I'm like, what type of jerk is getting you a $3 spatula? Like, I'm not saying it sucks. Like, I understand it's like, oh, we need this, whatever. But I don't want to buy a bad gift. But I didn't budget out for so many people to be inviting me to their weddings. So we might have to do like an NBA lottery style, like I draw from all the invitations. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I've got invitations. I bet right now, hold on, let me look. I bet I have an unopened invitation just in my bag right here.
Draft lotteries on Sunday. We could do it on Tuesday.
All right, let's see.
Hold on. 15.
This might not. This is from Lenexa, Kansas.
Oh, wow.
So that's not, yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. This is a thank you for a wedding I didn't go to. I'm going to read this on the air. I thought that I hadn't even opened this because I didn't want to have guilt about not sending a gift. Nick, unfortunately, I got married before you claimed to be the best person to invite to a wedding, so this will have to do. I'm your biggest fan since your days on 610 in Kansas City.
Wow.
Shout out. I may be the only person who loves the draft more than you, as I've done multiple mock drafts my entire life every year. This even helped me plan out my career path where I became oh, wow. I don't know if he wants me to say what he does, but he was the director of recruiting for a big-time university, and now he's the director of player personnel for another big-time university. Regardless, I'm a big fan of everything you do. Take care, Eric. Shout out to Eric and Mariah. Good for them. That's awesome. That wasn't even a wedding invite. I thought it was a wedding invite. Let me see if I have more in here. Danielle, are there any on the desk over there? I don't know. But they're at my job. They're all over the place. So I got to figure that out. Of what I'm going to do with that. But Damonza said something accurate. If you're getting married in the Los Angeles area, send an invite here for Damonza, and he'll go.
I'll go.
Weddings are fun. Damonza was a star at me and his mom's wedding a few weeks ago. Some of those pictures are trickling in now. They're great. Yeah. Damonza will actually attend and be a life of the party. So yeah, I don't know that he'll travel far, but if you're getting married in the Southern California area, all right, let's do Gabe's question, and then we'll move on.
Gabe says, Nick, do you really think Scoob played a meaningful role in the investigation and solving crimes? That was all Fred, Velma, and Daphne. Scooby and Shaggy weren't that dialed in. We're not exactly dialed in. Hey, man.
You know what? I'm going to disagree. I think it's a team effort,
Everybody's
and
got
I
a role.
think that the fact that they had a high on in Shaggy and a seemingly dumb dog in Scooby made the criminals let their guard down. Yeah. They're like, these guys aren't gonna, or else you just have a bunch of really industrious nerds chasing you, because they just thought they were a bunch of stoners, and so that's how they got caught all the time. Obviously, Scooby was a huge part of their success, and you guys, defaming the name of an all-time dog. Now that's a good. Exactly. Thank you, Damonza. Right, and I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know how much was Batman important to the. What are we talking about? That would be a fun thing during August, an all-time dog ranking. All dogs from all forms of media.
Our new evergreen.
You find, yeah. I mean, we really could. I'm right now.
That would be a really.
You could even have like a
fun one.
Top 5 and bottom 5.
Who's the first pick in the draft? Let's do a quick one. First pick in the draft.
First pick of the draft. I mean, there's so many. I don't want to snub anyone. I haven't studied this well enough. Your mom just said Snoopy. Snoopy's iconic, but not that.
Oh, we're going like all dogs, like every dog
characters.
ever.
I'm not doing like breed.
The dog
I'm
from
not
the
doing
Sandlot.
like that's a different dog from the Sandlot.
I mean, I feel like he's got to be. He's one of those dogs, man.
I
was actually scared of that dog.
What about Lassie?
I don't know.
I mean, Lassie saved a lot of lives.
Okay.
You don't know who Lassie is? It's an old-timey show. Saved a lot of lives. A lot of kids.
There's a dog that fought off 8 coyotes for his herd of sheep. I don't remember the dog's name, but and he killed it.
You know what?
It's not fake news.
Yeah,
either.
that's kind of just doing your job.
Okay.
Right? I mean, this is probably like I mean, there's Rin Tin Tin. Old Yeller, a little overrated if we're being honest.
Cujo.
Toto. Oh, Cujo's a tough one. Beethoven's a great dog. I mean, there's a lot. I don't even know. The Marley from Marley and Me. Oh, yeah. Pull on your heartstrings. Benji. I have too many. This is, again, we're blowing content here. We got too much to do. All right, I got to get to work. I'll see you guys later. What's right? Hey, thanks for watching. If you're still here, do me a favor. hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes. After you've done that, one more favor, go to your favorite audio platform of choice and subscribe there as well. Don't forget, we're live every Tuesday and Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern-ish. 10:35, 10:40, it sometimes changes, but that's why you hit the bell. You hit the bell so you're notified. You subscribe so we can get to 200,000 followers. We're right around 150,000. We'd love to get to 200,000, get Damonza another plaque. So like, subscribe, rate, send a rating too. Do all that cool stuff. Thanks, guys.